I read 25 holiday slash Christmas themed books this year. So let's talk about my favorite to least favorite books. I am gonna start with my least favorite and go to my favorite. And just because they're not my favorite does not mean that they are bad books. Sometimes it is a vibe thing, it's how I feel, or just the characters in general, or the writing that I just didn't vibe with. So if you love these books, let me know. If you didn't like them that I liked, let me know that as well. I'm always really curious to see what others think. Starting with number 25, it is A Little Holiday Fling. And for me, I just did not enjoy the story. I did not like both of our main characters. So for me, it wasn't for me. I thought the premise was really interesting, like rediscovering Christmas magic and, the idea of how do you celebrate Christmas, but then also be of a different faith. Like, how do you enjoy that kind of aspect? I really liked that theme, and I thought that was really well done. But for me, it was not my favorite Christmas book that I read. Then we have A Christmas with the Princes. Also, I liked it. I liked the idea of a found family. I thought that it was good. The story for me just felt a little bit rushed, and I also don't know that I got to know both of our characters as well as I would want to. Our main male character, our two main characters, I don't know if I got to know them as well as I wanted to. So for me, it was fine. It just wasn't my favorite. 23 is Second Chance Scottish by Trisha O'Malley. I liked this. I thought it was cute and it was fun. It was a very short novella, and so I liked it. But again, I was wishing for more with both of our characters. It's a second chance romance, and I like that aspect of it. I liked the kind of ideas of what happens with fame and that narrative that comes, like, can you go home again? But for me, I was just like, oh, I wish that I had more. Number 22 is Holiday Ever After by Hannah Grace. For whatever reason, I just don't vibe with her writing. It's not that it's bad writing. It's not that it's a bad story. It just is not the story for me, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think the idea and the premise was solid. It just isn't the book for me. And number 21 is Once Upon a Holiday by Susan Mallory. I like this. It does have two stories in here. You've got like a story and then a novella. Both of the books in here do take place in a series. And so I do think that if I had read the series, I probably would have understood some of the references in here a little bit better. But there were parts of the story that I just didn't connect with on the same level. I thought it was fun. I thought it was cute. It was, it's a really well done story. And I think that there is definitely a solid series here if you are someone that's looking for a series to read. There's, I believe, 6 books in the Happily Inc. series. For number 20, we have The December Market by Ray Ann Thane. I like this. I thought it was cute. I thought the premise was solid. I like the exploration of exploring, kind of what Christmas means and how changes and things that happen at Christmas can impact how we view the holidays. So I really liked this story. I think that if you're wanting a closed door romance with a lot of feel-good feelings, you'll really like this. For number 19, we have You Make It Feel Like Christmas by Sophie Sullivan. I had a really good time with this. This was one of the first books that I did read for the holidays, and there were aspects of the story that I really enjoyed, and there were other aspects of the story that I didn't. I liked that our two main characters they had kind of a thing happen, and they didn't see each other for 6 months or however long it was, and then they run into each other on this Christmas farm and kind of rekindle their romance. The ending felt rushed at times for me because they were trying to figure out how to be together long term because, she is like an artist and got a teaching job, and he is a hockey player who travels. And so there were parts of the story at the very end that felt a little rushed for me, but ultimately I did really like this story. Then number 18, we do have Christmas at the Ranch by Julia McKay. I like this. This is a second chance romance. I also liked the small town vibe of the story, and I liked that our characters explored kind of the impact of what happens when the person that you think that you want to be with gets away. And then what happens when maybe things don't go the way that you think? How do you kind of reconcile those situations and those conversations? So I really liked this. Then for number 17, we have Serving in the Snow by Meg Jones. This is a prequel to her tennis romance series, the Clean Point and Game Point. I liked it. This followed one of our characters that we met in Clean Point, her mom and her relationship. And so we kind of got to follow that. I liked it. I had a really good time with it. I thought it was really interesting kind of seeing the dynamic that happened and then knowing like the character that we met later on in Clean Point and how you kind of got to reconcile them. So I really did enjoy that. For number 16, we have My Favorite Holiday by Lauren Blakely. I liked this. I had a lot of fun. This was a fake dating one bed kind of situation. And we also had like a boss employee kind of thing happening. And I like the shenanigans. I also kind of liked that the family felt like they knew what was going on. And they kept kind of pushing the narrative and pushing our two main characters to like either own up or, you know, own up to their feelings, whichever way, like own up to their lies or own up to their feelings. So I had a really good time and a lot of fun with my favorite holiday. Next up is number 15, All I Want for Christmas. This is by Maggie Knox. I liked this. I liked the conversation that was happening. I also kind of like that we got two Christmases in this book. They initially meet on a singing competition and for the Christmas time, and they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna like fake date to like push you and get like everybody to love you. And then they're supposed to meet a year later to work on a Christmas song that they're going to release. And there's some events that happen that end up making where they don't speak for the majority of that year in between. And you kind of get to explore how they handled what happened and then learning to like each other again and how that can impact your view of someone. So I really enjoyed this. Then at number 14, we have Christmas on Mistletoe Lane by Annie Raines. I had a really good time with this. I liked this. I liked our story. I liked that the grandmother that had passed and left the house to our two main characters kind of was pulling the strings from the grave, where she leaves it to two different people, her granddaughter and then her the kid like of her like heart that she kind of helped raise, because he was kind of raised by everybody because his mom was a single mom. And it was like a really interesting journey of healing for both of them, and so I liked that aspect of our story. Then for number 13, we have The Christmas Stranger by Richard Paul Evans. If you are someone that really wants like the holiday magic and has a little bit of faith with that, I think this is the book for you. I liked our story. I liked the interesting conversation regarding forgiveness in the story, and you know, how do you forgive this person? How do you not forgive this person? So I really like that. Then at number 12, we have A Spell for Midwinter's Heart. I had a lot of fun with this. For a debut novel, it was solid. I also liked that it didn't just focus on Christmas, it kind of focused on the Yule holidays. So it looked at a different aspect of those that are celebrating. And, you know, it also had its witchy vibes. So I really enjoyed this as well. Then at number 11, we have Love Light Farms by B.K. Borison. I liked this. I had a good time with it. It's small town charm at its finest with some fake dating in here, but let's be real, they love each other and they're gonna find their way to each other before Christmas is over. And so I like this one. Then at number 10, so our top 10 coming in, we had Santa's Secret by Fern Michaels. This is the third in her Santa Crew series, and I like this. We follow the same 4 female friends, and as they find their significant others and partners, they're bringing them into the story. So they went to Italy for this story and visited one of our main characters' family and celebrated Christmas in a slightly different way, because, you know, they're not traditional in the US way. So I really liked exploring that narrative as well. At number 9, we have Santa's Holiday Spectacular by Fern Michaels. This is the 4th in the Santa Crew series, and I really liked this. I had a good time with it. It mixed a bit of Christmas and mystery and heist elements, so it was a lot of fun to dive into this one. Then for number 8, we have Date Night in December by Jacqueline Snow. I have this as an arc, and I really enjoyed this story. I like the idea of a second chance romance at Christmas and like dating your spouse to hopefully like avoid a divorce from happening. And so I liked the story, and I thought our characters were a lot of fun, and I liked the narrative that we had going on for our two characters. At number 7, we have The Mistletoe Kisser by Lucy Score. This is the 6th or 7th book in her Blue Moon series. I had a lot of fun with this. I thought it was really cute. The shenanigans were a lot of fun. So, and it was set at Christmas, and the shenanigans made sense for the Christmas time. So I really liked this. Then for number 6, we have A Season of Second Chances by Jenny Bayliss. Loved this book. I love that it takes place at Christmas. I love that it was a second chance romance, but it was also a second chance on life. Like what happens when life doesn't quite go the way that you think it's gonna go, and so you decide to take a second chance and explore a little bit of something different in your life. Now in our top 5, we have number 5, I'll Be Home for Christmas, also by Jenny Bayliss. I really enjoyed this conversation. I loved the coming home, the idea that, again, home is where you can like be yourself, and exploring that narrative and kind of like learning how to be yourself, but then also like finding past love and finding out who you are as a person. This was just, it was a delight. I really enjoyed this. Then for number 4, we have Yours for the Season. This is also another like fake dating situation and small town, and you're going home at Christmas and pretending to be together. And I liked our conversation with these two characters. I also like found it really interesting, like some of the miscommunication that was happening between our two characters. And the fact that they didn't want to talk and like being forced into this fake dating situation forced them to reevaluate how they communicated. So I thought that was a really interesting piece to our story as well. Then for number 3, I really liked this one, and it is A Very Merry Christmas by Debbie Macomber. Love this. I loved the idea that everybody can come together and work together to create a miracle or something to happen, and it happens on a ferry, you know, complete strangers coming together. And so for me, this was what the Christmas is all about, and I really, really liked this. Then our second favorite book was Good Spirits by B.K. Morrison. I love this. I could care less about the whole like retelling of A Christmas Carol for this. For me, there was so many things that made me feel in the story. And I feel like that's why it sat in my mind, it's at the top, is the conversation regarding feeling like a black sheep in your family and trying to like figure out who you are when everybody wants you to be something that you're not, and loved this book. And then my favorite holiday book for the year was The 8 Heartbreaks of Hanukkah by Jean Meltzer. I love this. Ironically, this is also a retelling of A Christmas Carol in a very unique way because we're talking about Hanukkah, and so the ghost of Christmas Past essentially visits our character for her 8 heartbreaks. I really loved this story. I loved our 2 main characters. I loved the exploration of pain and heartbreak and how those things shape us, and how at Christmas sometimes that magic comes in, and while it doesn't necessarily take away the heartbreak, it lets you view something a little bit differently. Or if you get to view the heartbreak from a different lens, how it can change the narrative in your mind. And the handling of the child that was lost in the story was beautifully done, and it just gave me all of the feels, and that is why it's my number 1. When I was making my list, I was like, this is gonna be my top because of how I felt reading it and how I felt after I finished it, and even how I feel now sitting with the book. So the 25 books that I read this year for holiday picks. Let me know, did you read any holiday books? Did you like them? What did you not like? And let me know